Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the middle of October of 2022, and as we get closer to other shows out there like Tales of the Jedi, and a whole lot of other shows for 2023 like Ahsoka and Mando, there's also a lot of fans looking forward to the announcements that will be made by Jon and Dave. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that a lot of fans have been very invested in what Jon and Dave are developing behind the scenes. They have a handful of new Star Wars projects that are going to actually be announced by Celebration of 2023 and D23 as well. But not just that, we also have a lot of new lore coming our way, a lot of retcons that will be made toward the sequel trilogy films, and that's just the very beginning of it all. Now that brings us to the next major thing of what's been going on between Favreau, Filoni, and Lucas. Now, given that everything is, of course, going on between, different creators on board, and really establishing the current Star Wars lore to really propel fans to really become more positive with the Star Wars franchise, right? So with that being said, of course, given that, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is still very much engaged with Star Wars when it comes to the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, she's also having a lot of trouble with shows out there like the Acolyte. Now, the Acolyte, of course, is one show that's been having a lot of setbacks, a lot of problems, and so to speak, we also have a lot of Disney executives getting involved, trying to regulate that show after Jon and Dave left the series, after they were actually coming back to fix elements of it all. But with that being said, of course, with Kathleen Kennedy actively working on the Acolyte series with Leslie Headland, she has still been having trouble with the show ever since the multiple setbacks caused by creative differences between herself and other creators. Now, it's noted, however, that Kennedy already has a plan to step down from Lucasfilm before Disney fires her, which is to create her own production company. Now, it's noted, however, that Kathleen Kennedy is planning to step down faster than expected, only if she can get her third Star Wars TV show approved to be her last. Currently, she only has control over Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte series as we speak, but she was supposed to actually make a third one that got cancelled. Kennedy is now trying to make Disney executives revive that project that was set to focus on a different era in the Star Wars universe. It was said to take place after the High Republic, but before the prequels, that would serve as a series taking place after the Acolyte show. Kennedy's plan to step down will happen sooner than expected if she is said to get that show approved to leave behind as her last project. If not approved, however, she will be making more time to create her production company, currently dubbed as Starlight Productions. Now let me just stop here quick for a second. Now, the thing about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm and getting ready to step down by next year to pretty much beat Disney executives from firing her from Lucasfilm as a company. They're still trying to gather candidates, by the way, to become the new president. There's a lot of plans happening behind the scenes. This third Star Wars TV show that's supposed to take place after the Acolyte was canceled months ago. We talked about this, and this is something that Kathleen Kennedy is trying to revive, trying to pretty much, convince Disney to actually bring back on the roadmap. And there's a lot of complications involved because by contract she was supposed to actually make that show and have creative power over it all, even the financial end of it all. There was a lot of problems that happened behind the scenes with that series, but now she's trying to make it happen all over again. Hopefully that does not move forward, because that would mean that she would have control over 3 shows instead of 2. Regardless, that's still minuscule in comparison to what Jon and Dave have power over, which, by the way, is everything moving ahead. Now, to the next thing that's really more involved, has a lot to do with Bob Chapek. Now, there was supposed to be a president replacement last year. Unfortunately, the main reason why that never happened is because nobody wanted the job at the time. Nobody wanted to take control of Star Wars or take on that big task of cleaning up Kathleen Kennedy's mess of a situation that she actually caused, not just for the fandom, but also for the employees over at Lucasfilm, everybody that's working on these shows and these projects, these books and comics and movies, etc. She caused a lot of problems, and it really tainted Lucasfilm to the point where a lot of people don't want nothing to do with Star Wars at all, and a lot of other Hollywood producers came forward before in past interviews stating that that would be too much of a difficult task to take on and too risky for their reputation. So that's why it's been very hard for them to get a proper president. But right now they do have candidates, they are making things happen, and we talked about that already. The next thing, however, Chapek, of course, the CEO of Disney, is not allowing the show to happen, which is only delaying Kennedy's progress to stepping down voluntarily. However, is planning to leave by 2023 regardless before Disney, of course, gets to her. This mystery series is being debated on between multiple Disney executives, some of which favor Kennedy's vision of Star Wars over Lucas. Now, Chapek is already creating a plan to let her go sometime by next year, and are still gathering candidates for the new Lucasfilm president to handle Star Wars in a more respectful manner. So, like I say, there's a lot of things that are going into all of this because Kathleen Kennedy, number one, wants to get her production company started. It's basically going to be borrowing or taking ex-Lucasfilm employees or even current ones that support her and hiring them to become a part of her company. That's basically what she's doing with the new show. The other thing is this, that I think a lot of fans need to be very well aware of, is the fact that there's also another thing that's happening with Kathleen Kennedy, is that she is actually deleting a lot of Jon and Dave's work that they poured into the Acolyte when they were actually called on by Disney to fix elements of it all. A lot of those fixes are now getting pretty much taken off of the project. Pretty much a lot of what they've done, with the script, telling Leslie Headland what to do and what not to do, are being reversed. And it just goes to show you the lack of respect that Kathleen Kennedy has, the lack of vision when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, she doesn't really care about the franchise at all, nor its creators or fans. It's all about some kind of agenda or some kind of mission to accomplish some kind of, some kind of voice to put out there or message. That's really ultimately what Kathleen Kennedy is all about. That's the hard truth. And thankfully, Jon and Dave have power, creatively speaking, over the majority of the projects now moving ahead. And that's the good news. So there's that. And the last thing that I think a lot of fans need to also be very much aware of is the fact that here, this is only making more problems when it comes to the Acolyte. She's basically shooting herself in the foot, by erasing Jon and Dave's fixes and taking them off of the project. They walked away, by the way, but taking their work off of the project is only making things worse. It's creating more setbacks again. And I'm even left questioning whether or not the show will release. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.